Nice to see you. Wow.
Yes, it's been a year, I think. Shall we start?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Shoot.
All right. I'm excited to see you. That's
Me
the first thing
too.
I really want to say. Um, Today I have with me, and I'm going to read it because it's really a mouthful, Dr. Graciela Rovner. She is a senior pain specialist physiotherapist with a PhD in rehabilitation medicine and a master's in clinical medicine science, psychology, and physiotherapy, graduated in Sweden. She is originally from Argentina and lived all around the world, even in a Buddhistic monastery, which I'm very curious about. She's one of the most vibrant and competent women I know, and it's an honor to do a podcast with her.
Oh, the honor is mine, darling. Thank you.
The first thing I thought when I saw your all these titles, how many years have you been studying to do that? I
Forever,
mean, yeah.
forever. And I used to say, well, I don't like to watch TV, so something I need to do. So that was that. But after the PhD, my mentor, well, I have actually 1.5 PhD. There was a PhD in US I could not finish because we were there because of my husband's job, and then he was called back, so I could not finish that there. But my mentor here, she said, "That's it. You are not allowed to take any course." So yeah, next week I will take one course anyway.
What will you be doing?
No, actually, I'm taking that course just a formal thing and not registered because it's a course of meta-analysis and I will be teaching in that course. So I'm going just to participate in order to be teaching next year. That's it. It's a formal, yeah, just to be there and see how they teach. Yeah. So
When I saw your website and I read the introduction of yourself, I was amazed by how open you were about yourself. I mean, we really like each other, but we don't really know that much about each other. So I read this and I thought, wow, what an interesting mixture of experience and knowledge around pain.
mm.
That was the first thing that I noticed, and so it feels like it's a red thread throughout your life.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is. It is. It's. I think you point to the probably the redder, the most red thread. um, so, and I've been thinking a lot. You probably are thinking about physical pain, but I think there is a lot of mental and social pain always around that. But of course, the physical pain was the one that normally you react to.
Yeah. For me, it was. I thought of this. I had so many questions about it because, of course, there is the instant reaction to physical pain and how did you manage that and what did you learn, and at the same time, exactly as you say, there must have been and there was obviously a lot of mental and social pain involved at the same time.
Yeah, it's interesting because now talking about this and listening is that why do we react to the physical pain? Why I, for instance, reacted that, okay, this is not okay to have, but the mental and the social, it was like, yeah, is there, and probably it's my fault, or social pain, isolation, or not being liked, or bullied. Also, normally it's the thought that, yeah, well, that's my fault. But as soon as you have physical pain, then you react that something can be done.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a lot about the contextual, about our culture, because it has been a lot of more marketing around pain medicines and pain treatments, right?
Yeah.
Probably, unless taboo it is.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the other is just much more taboo.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I felt pain since very, very early, physical, and I still have pain every day.
Okay.
Mm.
You do seem to have a very physically active life. So can you tell me what is the pain that you're still experiencing today?
Well, I have always back pain in different parts, and then shoulders. The last years has been or one shoulder or the other or the other, and then I always have bad knees. Um, I don't like that expression, but that's as a teenager. I been told that I'm never gonna be able to run, so I quit it. But then I restarted at my 40s, crying while running, but I really wanted. It was horrible. I mean, the pain, and it was horrible also because the breathing. I have asthma, and you need to pass that part of the asthma-like feeling running.
Mm-hmm.
So mentally difficult there. Um, so pretty much, I don't think I have a pain-free day. So it's part of my
daily life,
my being.
Yeah.
Mm. So then so that's why I've been so interested in trying to understand, and then I could rehabilitate myself, such as by 40s I start running and training. By 50s I did contents that are very, very extreme, not the extreme ones, but they are extremes. Just running a 3/4 marathon on hills, biking 300 kilometers around a hilly one around a lake here, skiing cross-country ski 90 kilometers without knowing how to ski, which is quite it's good because you really ski very fast downwards, because I didn't know how to stop it. So but I so it goes fast down hills. Then I trained martial arts when I was young, so that was good because I know how to fall down, and I know how to go up quite quickly. So all this combination made it possible. And then it's 3 kilometers swimming. That's the easiest. Swimming in a very cold river in Sweden. And I did that you do in 1 year. It's called the Swedish Classic competition. So, and since then I'm running every day, but I have pain. And so I do yoga, and I just make sure to have a vital
life.
Yeah.
And so I want to talk about, of course, about the psychological and the social part of this, but the question that popped up the most was what did you learn about the meaning of pain, of physical pain? Because I mean, you treat people for it, right? Chronic pain, and so what is the thing that you think these people need to learn?
I think I can talk about what my own pain is telling me, and first, and for me has been a voice from my deep inside, just like listening listen to me, be with me, stay here in the body. Otherwise, I could really just go intellectually, mentally aware and forget my body. And thus, I think we forget ourselves because somehow I'm pretty sure that the self is built on the body awareness and feeling a body, feeling the space, the body in space and the space in the body.
Yes.
My body is the one that also allows me to participate to life and to others' lives, actually. So for me has been an interesting voice, asking for love and taking care. So I think this is the most, that voice in my case, and probably is also a asking for expression. Express yourself, be yourself. In my case, expressing myself is a lot of movement, creating movement and this kind of thing. For other people, probably the voice may tell something else. Some patients, for instance, need to express a boundary and say, this is me, this is you, I'm going to take care of me, I'm not, there's some different, probably. But what I see a lot is that there's some voice that needs to be listened to. And it's not a bad voice. All in the contrary. The problem is when you don't listen, you start shouting, and that's probably the pain.
Yeah,
I think.
Which
or a cancer, because some people don't have a body that will express pain, that may express other things. I'm not knowledgeable about cancer, but this kind of going against your own body, That's interesting, but I left the analytic part of my career, so I don't go that much into that. I've been trained by Freud also, so well, so I'm quite grateful about the pain. Yeah.
Wow.
As a child, I needed to clean but move, and then I was like prostrate. I was like stopped in movement-wise. And I think that's a call again to keep on playing and being this child that moves and plays around.
That is so wise. I'm thinking about myself as well, because I had chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia for quite some time, quite severe. And I used to be a basketball player in the national team. So I know the feeling of wanting to move and having a body that wants to move. So with what you're saying now, and saying like I was stopped moving, and my body tells me that's what it wants and that's what it's missing, that resonates. Yeah.
And that's interesting now, because now you are presenting exactly what's all about the rehabilitation and the adaptation of ACT principles into this specific area. How can we find a path and the way and the movement quality, the intensity, the dosification that allows our body to express, even if it's not in the way that this one thinks about, how can we still get it?
Yeah.
And that's fascinating, because that's creativity.
Yeah.
And so that's what I teach my patient. How can we find that new way And most of them come with like, I want to have that life I had before. It's like you will say, I want to play again in the national league, right?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
Probably it's another configuration and another aim, but the function of it will be not even the same, even better, when you start doing that for yourself, your health, and your self-expression, and finally reformulate yourself.
Yeah. Yeah,
Reframe yourself, I will say.
Yeah. I guess that that what isn't that different from treating psychological or social issues is that when you start aiming with people or focusing with people towards a more valuable life, they will say, yes, but I can't do this, or the pain is too much, or I don't know. And so they need to start discriminating which of these voices is valuable to listen to and which are just thoughts that I'm going to leave where they are. But it's the same for social issues and psychological issues where you have to go beyond your comfort zone and start walking paths that are maybe new and may not be the ones that you're used to, but maybe more valuable. That's the same thing. Your mind also starts whispering or shouting things that may get you off track. But I can imagine that with physical pain, it's very hard to know. I know it's very hard to know, like, which is now the voice that is the most wise to listen to. Or
well, then, I mean, you may be able to find that voice, but then you still need knowledge and you need guidance.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been this last 15 years trying to develop tools that are in line with ACT principles, but that allow us to develop these metaphors, embody metaphors. I mean, really create new movement patterns and find these new ways of reaching the vitality we want to have and the quality of life and the movement level, I will say, we can have. So that's probably something we don't have in ACT. We don't.
Yeah.
That's something that I really love because that's what I've been putting my energy on, how to complement or complete that part with our knowledge. So I'm teaching physios and OTs because we have this area. So yes, it's the voice is one thing, but it's also then how you act.
Yeah.
I mean, those tools are not taught in the psychology programs.
True. And is there something that you can share about that is helpful for people to know?
No.
Or is it too technical, too complicated?
It's like if I would ask you, share something about your psychotherapy to people, for people to know. Come on. I mean, I mean, there is no receipt, so like over-the-counter thing to buy, but pretty much that's physiotherapy and occupational therapy that don't focus on symptoms, that focus on function and use ACT principles. I call it active rehab, and the behavioral plasticity model is not psychological flexibility, it's behavioral plasticity. So something that creates behavioral plasticity in the terms that you need to start understanding and regulating your nervous system complete. Not only the mental, the central part here is the whole thing, the peripheral, and so being able to regulate that. So, and this knowledge is not so, is not known, and I'm not writing the books I want to write. I finished, but I'm not delivering. So that's my only frustration. actually. Yeah.
I am very happy with what
So
you're saying, because this is a part of the world that we are part of, the contextual behavioral science world that we're part of, that doesn't have that. And I think it's a very important part that is missed.
yes.
I've been looking for that myself, and I've been looking for somatic experiencing and heart coherence and all those things to help regulate my nervous system and help other people help them regulate their nervous system. So I'm very curious about the difference between what you're doing and, for example, somatic experience. But I can imagine it's probably more to do with physiotherapists that work with what you're teaching them, where somatic experiencing is more in the psychological area.
Yeah, that's the difference. I think I'm trying to still go through the body, and so I feel that there are a lot of these kind of techniques that still allow the mind dominate the
Yeah.
body, and that's not exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's like the body and the mind. The body sends signals, the mind translate. Then they need to discuss. So the accuracy of translating the signals, and then the intelligence of being able to answer with something adaptive and functional. Of course, it's mind work, but the accuracy and the signals, the a clean signal requires a quite healthy body.
Yeah.
And also the body talks its language, and a very, let's say, a very stiff body will, or a very inflamed body, let's say, with smoking or drinking or a lot of inner stress, that will give a megaphone signal to the brain.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like how to clean, to mother the river. There are rivers, like sending the nervous system is, if it's dirty or close somewhere, you don't get, or you get megaphone, or you don't get the signal.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you get the signal in the central nervous system, yes, then we need ACT. We need more psychological techniques. There are many of them. Metacognitive techniques are very, very helpful as well. But the one that sends the signals needs also to be taken care of.
Mm-hmm. Wow, amazing what you're doing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm very curious. If there is a world conference, I will definitely be joining one of your workshops, because I want to know more, for sure.
Well, this year is the first year I decided not to participate, so I didn't send anything. But you can join courses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great. You said, and I'm not sure if I understood it right, but you said, I'm grateful for the pain.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean by that?
I think that I'm grateful for the voice. It's one thing. The other thing is that the pain also made me the expert I am. Mm-hmm. This curiosity I have since teens around it, around also when I figure out how to work with myself, I was like, what am I doing? Why is this working? I need to understand this. And that's why I started researching. And so the pain has been one of the carrots of curiosity. Mm-hmm. And also, I think pain has a lot of empathy in it. I mean, if you are in pain, mm-hmm. and I know what pain is, mm-hmm. then I can connect with a different quality of empathy. Mm-hmm. If you were to find a therapist that never ever felt this fatigue or fibromyalgia, I will say, well, just keep on doing things. I mean, just do, you know, you don't connect. So it's somehow very, was going to say human, but I guess animals also,
Yeah.
all of us feel pain. So pain is so tender somehow. And it's telling things and it's trying to help us in many ways, I think.
It's true. It's very true. And then I have migraines, and then I think you can stuff it. I want to get rid of it.
Well, this kind of pain is really, really
Hard.
No, I mean, migraine or neurological pain, when you get in that point, is really pain in the, it's worse than pain in the ass. uh, um, but it has also, in my research, I could see, you know, in my research also is about understanding different profiles of behavioral plasticity, how we tackle our pains,
Yeah.
and how we get stuck in behavioral patterns. And these behavioral patterns, in turn, inform exactly what we need to do in terms of ACT and
Okay.
ACT principles. So that's the beauty of it, because patterns, you can have patterns, whatever, but these are very, very pragmatic. So in headache and migraine, what I found, there is a pattern of the good girl, the superhero pattern, the overdoing pattern, the anxiety, not wanting to feel pattern control. And so that tells us that is, if we are now nerdy talking, is the left side of the hexaflex that we really need to work, the non-reactive part, the
Mindful
open.
part and the acceptant part, you mean?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the engagement is already there. I just live it. But the other part, how to open up in, that's also my pattern. So it's very, very interesting. But the working, analyzing headache population, most of the patients are in that pattern, or navigate in that pattern, I would call it, most of the time, until you crash, and then you go into another pattern. But then as soon as you are okay, you go again in the overdoing. And that's how it goes. And the other pattern is a more depressive pattern, not doing anything,
Yeah.
and fatigue.
Yeah.
And that's how it goes. But
Oh, that
so
sounds
it's
so familiar. Yeah, that's
yeah, yeah. But the beauty of this model is that when I'm working with the patients, I'm delivering the model to them, so then they know how to work with themselves with the principles.
Yeah.
So it's quite I would say, easy to implement in daily life. Not only for that pain at that moment, just for all the pains that life is going to bring us.
It reminds me that I think, my sister died in 2018. And when I came,
Who?
my sister,
What?
she died.
Yeah, yeah. I know.
And when I came back to work, I felt migraines coming up quite easily or quite quickly. And so I put on my board, I have this whiteboard that I have in my practice. And so I put on it like step by step and just, see what you can do. And I was overwhelmed by all the emails that people knew I was back at work. So people started, sending me emails about things they wanted to know urgently. And I discovered, I think, the second day, if I'm going to go into all these questions and I need to do them now, then I'll have migraines all the time. So I need to go slow and I need to say step by step. And what's not done today will be done tomorrow. And I think for the worst time in my life, I had the least migraines because I was very mindful of how I was dealing with things. And so it's a good reminder, what you're telling me now, to keep that in mind, that's the meaning of it. So
yeah, that's fantastic. That's so skillful. It reminds me one of the patients that she said that now when I can stop at a time, I mean, not when I go over, when I can stop, recharge, because that's the thing, is how to recharge batteries. Now I can do much more.
yeah.
I mean, she said that really, because it was more, she could really do, and she was so safe because she knew I'm going to be able to stop. But otherwise, you feel like I'm going, oh, I'm not stopping.
Yeah.
And then boom, crash, right? So it's so wise. Yeah, that's exactly what we need. And there is my pain voice.
Mm-hmm.
That's my every night with yin yoga before I go to bed. Of course, I do a lot of other things during the day, but this kind of, yes, now it's time to listen and stop. And even my sleep changed totally since I started with the long yin yoga before bed. So not even sleep could help. Actually, I could keep on.
Yeah. But I think it's, I mean, that's also something that I discovered. If I regulate my nervous system well before I go to bed, then I have a higher sleeping quality, and I don't go into fight, flights, freeze while sleeping, and so don't
exactly
doing that or having done that. Yeah.
And then also you can sleep less hours also doing this. That's what I found when I started with yoga, the yoga I liked, because I tried several times in my life and I felt it very flower powery. But and then for almost 20 years now, when I find a yoga I liked, and so yeah, that helped. I could pretty much half of my need of sleep. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. I'm wondering if there are things that we can give people, like if there is advice that we can give people who are listening, that have chronic pain, or that, and even mentally are suffering, what we can share with them to take with them.
I'm thinking about both chronic pain, trauma, which are very
Aligned,
connected.
Yeah.
That, and I was actually thinking, I mean, all this, what I'm talking about, physical, mental and social pain is quite traumatic.
Mm-hmm.
There are levels and levels, but it's traumatic, especially if you experience when you're a child. What I think is that it is very normal that we focus on the symptoms and trying to get rid of it. But when we have something that we, like a trauma that happened, that we cannot change because the thing we experienced is already experienced, or we have a pain that we try medically, complementary medicine, whatever, to change. When symptoms are not able to be controlled, I think we need to drop that and then control the resources we have. And resources are function. Mm-hmm. Resources are life energy. So if we, instead of putting the life energy in controlling something that is uncontrollable, so focus on increase your function, the resources you already have.
Mm-hmm. So
resources, I mean physical resources, mental resources, and social resources.
Yeah. Okay.
And invest in that. And that's the biggest difference between medical thinking, that's symptoms directed, and rehabilitation medicine, that's a bit other it's like another philosophy of life. It's like, okay, if I cannot control symptoms, I cannot control that your sister is dead, my mother is dead. There are things that, so we can train ourselves to control what is in our control. I mean, it's very basic, Annick. We know that is what we talk in ACT, but it's doable. Even if we have experienced horrible things very, very early, don't let them keep on influencing the life now. Just take your energy. And normally, one of the biggest mistakes we have in our society, at least the Western, is if you're a person that have had a lot of problems and seek help here and there, you are experienced as a very complex and difficult person. In my eyes, you are incredible. I mean, the energy of most of my patients and people that really struggle and try to find solution is amazing. The energy is there.
Yeah.
Just allow that to grow.
And in the right direction.
Yeah, it's like find the right, ground for it. So it's not. I think we need to rethink and don't go to any therapist that experience you as difficult, because that will never ever help. And seek help, but you need to feel that you are very normal from the very beginning.
Yeah.
That's one recommendation as well.
I think that's very important. I really think that's very important. I went to a heart specialist, a cardiologist, not so long ago. And I did some exercises with my physiotherapist, and what happened was my nervous system got all deregulated. So I had a lot of heart rate arrhythmia going on, and blood pressure that went sideways, and which was quite alarming. And at the same time, I was reassured because I've seen this before, and I thought, okay, this is going to, this needs to still start regulating, and then things will be in balance again. But everyone was worried, so I went to the cardiologist. And he said to me, did you ever experience anything like this? And I decided to hide that I had chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia, because I knew that if I was going to say that he was going to say, well, you're a stressful person. This is it. This is the only issue, and we don't need to look into it. And what he said was, oh, this is really worrying. We need to really look into it, and I won't let you go until we find out what the issue is. But he said, well, I can see all your files from way back, so I'll just have a look anyway. And, pretty soon he found chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia, and he changed completely. His tone of voice changed, his concern changed. And he said, after putting me on a bike, there is no issue. I think you're having stress. And it was just after looking and thinking that I contacted my physiotherapist, and he said, well, probably it's the exercises that we did. But it was it's yours. I mean, I was not worried as much, but if I would have been, then it's so painful to not be heard by your specialist, who changes his tone of voice once he knows your diagnosis. So yes, I think that's very important what you're saying. If you have someone across from you who feels that you're annoying, complaining,
or difficult or complex, the healthcare call patient complex or comorbid.
Yeah.
I used to say to the doctors I train, I'm sorry, but I wonder, are you simple? I mean, or we are all complex beings, we are, or what happened? Medical science is limited, period.
Yeah, that's so
So
important.
that's it. There is no complex patient. There is no comorbidity.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That is so important for people to hear. I mean, for sure. I think many of them don't feel heard, and therefore, I mean, what as many patients that I know have exactly what you say. They have the energy to work on this. They want a better quality of life. They're just looking in the wrong direction to find it, and they don't have a doctor that gives them enough support to help them find the way. And that's painful. That's really painful.
Yeah.
Are you
Yeah,
some
or we are stuck. We are stuck in the marketing of the pharmacological industry that promises that it will help you with everything. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
so it's. I think we need to know there is another way of walking life, navigating life, and chronic conditions.
yeah.
The interesting thing, I was also thinking, um, I work with several chronic conditions. If you have asthma, nobody goes and asks, take it out from me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, asthma is lucky because the medical science happened to
Find a way. Yeah,
at least regulate that,
yeah,
and so other like diabetes and so. However, we know also that with lifestyle changes, we can prevent and cure most of our chronic conditions, at least in a way that doesn't difficult us to live our life.
yeah.
But I think some shit need to happen anyway in life.
Yeah. I I was thinking that this we I'm trying to specialize in treating trauma, and I was thinking that there is this psychological part of trauma, and there is this physio-psychological part of trauma, and then there is the whole medical world that sees a lot of people who have trauma, or for example, if you've had like a heart surgery, that you will be experiencing, or your body for sure will be experiencing trauma and need to recover from that as well. And it's just like the whole medical world is just not into having enough knowledge. The psychological part, certainly in Belgium, is definitely also not there yet to really know what trauma is and to be able to treat it effectively.
Cancer survivors, they are left after their, I mean, talk about trauma after surviving a cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Who takes care of them after?
Yeah.
They feel worse after than during the treatment.
Yeah.
It's the same. I mean, yes. But of course, I mean, medicine is fantastic in a lot of things. But if we are getting into things that are dependent upon our lifestyles, and then when I'm thinking about lifestyle, is basically how we move and how much we are sedentary, and then what and how we eat.
Mm-hmm.
This and their relationships.
Yeah.
And in relationships, I put the relationship with ourselves and then with others.
Yeah.
These factors before drinking and smoking, these are main factors that we could do so much ourselves. Mm-hmm. And then we may get other things that medicine can help. I mean, I have asthma and I get very good help if I need for that. So I'm very grateful, but not just believing that life is going to be pink.
Yeah.
Because it's not pink, not even for Dalai Lama, I mean.
I want to see you teach doctors.
Well, normally the doctors, not always, but most of the doctors I taught are they want to go into this thinking. Sometimes there were some doctors that were very against, but it's Yeah, it's not easy all the time.
I do think that I feel that we're at a crossroad, that these type of things that you're doing, that is so important, and that somatic experiencing and all these things are coming to our knowledge much more than they've ever been before worldwide. So I feel that we're at a crossroad, and we have a long way to go, but we're starting to get more people educated in the pain that trauma causes, and the effects that it has, chronic trauma or complex trauma, and even surgery and being ill and then trauma after that. So it's a good thing.
But again, I mean, there are things that we already can do without that much knowledge. Of course, trauma is going to happen. Look what's going on around the world. I mean, all these people around from Syria,
Yeah.
just, I cannot think to the end, that thought.
Mm-hmm.
But lifestyles,
Yeah.
there are several few things that we could start doing already now. Eating one fruit more per day.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some basic things that we can do without big things. Cutting our sitting time. We are now dying.
Yeah.
We are being sitting for 46 minutes, so that's dangerous. And there are some few things that we can still do. And then, yes, other situations, these wars and childhood trauma and tsunamis and whatever it's going on around, criminality. Yeah, we need much more knowledge, that's for sure. But the big suffering that's all around the world, there's a lot we can be doing with behavioral change. And look, I mean, even COVID has been handled with behavioral changes.
Yeah, true.
Even not a chronic condition, an acute condition, and communicable condition. So I think that's just looking at our behaviors, and that's what we can control.
Yeah, exactly.
Really.
Yeah, exactly.
So we have such a lot of power that is not used in our life.
That's beautiful to end our conversation with. We have such
because we are ending with the same voice. I think the pain and the sickness is telling us, hello, take care of me.
Yeah, exactly.
Do something.
Yeah. Very true.
One banana more per day.
Yeah. She says with her
to start with. That was the receipt. Dr. Graciela Rovner recommends one more banana per day.
Yeah, but it does inspire me, though.
I'm happy for that.
Does. Yeah.
That's one of my highest values, to inspire others. That's really what I want to work for.
That's what you do. That's definitely what you do. If people would want to find you after this podcast, where should they look for you?
Google. I mean,
is there a website that
Yes, I do my websites myself. So I did 3 of them.
Yeah.
One for the ACT Institute that's not always up to date, and then I didn't know how and where to put all the courses. I at this very moment, I don't have private courses. I have only at the university postgrad at Karolinska, but normally I have some few courses. And for that, I have another page that's called Acti Rehab. .com on .se, Sweden. And then I have a Graciela 60 plus.
Okay.
But that one is in Swedish, and I was thinking that I was going to be very personal in that, and very proud of being 60 plus. And all my craziness that I swim in the sea every day. Yeah. I mean, I'm not just going in, I swim. and
you're crazy, but yes, you do.
back and forth like this. And so, but I haven't put that much time in those pages because it's a creative work and I love it, but I do it in periods. I mean, sometimes I do it and then I leave it, and then
It will
depending on
inspire
my
a lot of people,
workload.
for sure.
I hope that I
Yeah.
would like. I will need to write more. That's something I would really like to do.